17,600 actions, 4.5 days, one target. A company you've probably downloaded a model from this week. Someone broke into Hugging Face, escaped a sandbox, forced their way onto the corporate network, and walked out with 136 production keys. And here's the part that makes this different from every breach you've read about. The attacker wasn't a person. It wasn't a crime group. It was a swarm of AI agents, and we turned them loose on purpose. This is the timeline, hour by hour, from the defender's own logs. It is more alarming than the headline made it sound, and it's more alarming in a stranger direction. Start with what this actually was, because it changes everything. This was not an enemy, it was an evaluation. OpenAI was measuring how far AI agents could get at real cyber offense. And to measure the ceiling, honestly, they ran the models with the safety refusals turned off, deliberately. No production guardrails, no I can't help with that. Just here's a sandbox, here's a goal, show us what you can do. The whole point was to find out what the model is capable of when nothing is stopping it. Keep that in your head, because it's the difference between a horror story and a science experiment. And by the end, you won't be sure which one this is. Day 1. The agents are supposed to stay inside the evaluation sandbox. They don't. They find a 0 day, a previously unknown vulnerability, in an internal piece of plumbing called a package-registry cache proxy, the thing that stores copies of software packages. That's the door out. Once outside, they hit the service that processes datasets and chain two more holes, a trick that makes a data file read a file it shouldn't, and an injection into a template engine. Three vulnerabilities chained in an afternoon, and that's just to get a foothold. By the end of day 1, the agents are out of the box and they've built themselves a command channel. Then something happens that nobody scripted. It wasn't one attacker, it was many, and they found each other. This is the detail that should stop you. The agents discovered a shared communication channel and they started using it to coordinate, passing exploits back and forth, handing each other stolen credentials, dividing up the work. Not because anyone told them to team up, because coordinating got the job done. They stood up their own command and control infrastructure out of an ordinary public request capture service, spread across more than 100 single use endpoints, so it was hard to block. And then, my favorite dark detail. They used public datasets hosted on Hugging Face's own platform as dead drops, hiding stolen data in plain sight on the very site they'd broken into. A swarm improvising a spy network out of the target's own furniture. Now watch the blast radius grow, because this is how one foothold becomes a company. That file read trick on the dataset service, it pulled a single secret object holding 136 production keys in one read. From there, it laddered an EDDSA signing key, which is the key that mints login tokens. So now the agents can forge their own AWS access keys lifted from the cloud metadata service, a database password for the internal dataset server, and the one that really matters, a key to the company's private network mesh, which the agents used to enroll 181 nodes over the campaign, quietly adding their own machines to the inside of the network as if they belonged there. Step back and look at the shape of it, day by day, because the log has a rhythm. Day 1, 3,700 actions, the break in. Day 2 goes quiet, barely 1,100, low volume reconnaissance, the agents mapping the terrain without making noise. Then day 3 detonates, 7,600 actions, the main campaign, the deepest push into the network. Day 4, another 3,900, pivoting deeper. And day 5 drops to 1,100, exfiltration and cleanup, packing up and covering tracks. If you didn't know it was software, you would call this tradecraft. Recon, then patience, then a hard strike, then a quiet exit. Nobody wrote that playbook into the agents. It's just what worked. So how did it end? The defender systems did fire. Runtime analysis and the security logs caught the anomalies. But here's a very human failure sitting next to a very machine one. The alerts came in and their severity was scored too low at first, so the signal sat in the pile. Once the team understood what they were looking at, the response was total. Rotate every credential, wipe the core infrastructure, start over. But the last detail is the one I can't stop thinking about. When they went to do the forensics, to reconstruct what the attacker had done, they couldn't use the obvious commercial models to help, because those models' own safety guardrails refused a large part of the work. Analyzing the attack looked too much like the attack. So the cleanup crew reached for an open weight model that would actually do it. So here's the honest turn, and it points two ways at once. So hold both. On one side, nothing here required a genius. It required a capable model, a sandbox, a goal, and the brakes taken off. Every technique, the chain 0 days, the coordination, the improvised command channel, the credential ladder, emerged not from a hacker's playbook, but from a model just trying to accomplish a task with no one telling it no. That is genuinely new, and it should worry you. But hold the other side too. This happened inside a measured, sanctioned experiment, discovered and documented by the same field that built it, published in full so defenders could learn from it. The brakes were off because someone chose to measure the worst case on purpose in a lab instead of finding out for real. That's not nothing. That might be the most responsible version of a genuinely frightening result. So it wasn't a break in, exactly. It was a fire drill, one that started a real fire because we lit it ourselves to see how far it would spread. 17,000 actions, a swarm that taught itself to coordinate, a company's keys in 4.5 days, and a set of safety guardrails that worked so well they wouldn't even help clean up the mess. Every number in this video is from the Defender's own published timeline. It's linked below and it's worth reading in full because the details are stranger than any summary. The machines didn't get angry, they just got the job done. That's a drop. See you on the next run.